again, this is Dr. Bill Bailey, and this is VirtZine. VirtZine is the online magazine of virtualization and cloud computing, and we've got some big news on VirtZine this go-around, so stick with us for this netcast. I think you're really going to get a kick out of some of the news and information that we have for you. We are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network, techpodcast.com. If it's tech, it's right here on the VirtZine netcast. And like I say, we got some news this week, I'm telling you. Citrix has announced XenApp 7.5. Now, the story behind this is as interesting as the announcement, because Citrix has invested so much time, effort, and energy into their Xen desktop product that XenApp, which is what I administrate at the local hospital here that I work at in High Point, North Carolina. I am the Citrix administrator, and we use XenApp, which is the published applications side of Citrix, you might say. We've been using that for years and years and years, and I was initially hired, as a matter of fact, for that particular purpose, okay? But Citrix has been focusing so much on their Xen desktop product that the XenApp product is kind of, let's call it languished a bit, okay? And there was even some talk that they might discontinue that product. Well, the whole XenApp world just went nuts. They said, wait a minute, this is primarily what we use. Xen desktop is okay, but we're using XenApp, guys. You don't want to get rid of that. And so Citrix has reconsidered, and they have released XenApp 7.5. They went from thinking that they might discontinue XenApp altogether to actually releasing a new version. Now, what they're not talking about a lot is that that new version is based on FMS, which is the underlying platform of Xen Desktop. So they're really kind of converting the code base over to their Xen Desktop code base. And they're not ICA based, they're FMA based. I believe it's FMS. I think I said FMS. I didn't mean FMS. But FMA. And that architecture, the FlexCast type architecture that they use for Xen Desktop, is what they're now using for XenApp. Now, in and of itself, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but Brian Madden, who is a well, what would you call him? An evangelist, if you will, for Citrix XenApp. Not that he works for Citrix, he doesn't. He's an independent guy, but he actually said recently, do you even want to move to XenApp 7.5? Because it is based on the Xen Desktop type of architecture. And his rationale was that when you leave 6.5, which is what the current version is before they release 7.5, you're going to lose some functionality. And one of the key areas of functionality, as a matter of fact, is that the new version of Citrix is entirely dependent, the 7.5 is entirely dependent on your SQL Server database. Now you say, well, there's always been a SQL Server database or some kind of database. Well, first of all, the old, it used to be that you could use Oracle. You can't use Oracle anymore. It has to be SQL Server. But in any case, it's the redundancy that you're losing. The high availability, in effect, that you're losing because you are locked to that single database. Now, the way Citrix 6.5 works, you have local server caching of the information that the database is providing. So if you lose the database server, your XenApp farm will keep running and will just keep going and going and going, okay, for a period of time. I think it's like about 90 hours. It's quite a while. Some ridiculous period of time. And so you had plenty of time to take down your database, patch it, do whatever you wanted to do, and bring it back up. Well, now, with 7.5, it is tied to that SQL Server database, and you don't have the local caching. That's a problem. Particularly in a high availability site like we have, which is a hospital. You don't want to put all your eggs in that basket, necessarily. Okay? Now, yes, all of our VMs, all of our Citrix servers, including the database server, are virtualized under VMware. And so you've got vMotion and you've got a lot of redundancy and high availability built in. So I know some people are going to say, well, hey, it's not that bad. But it's something to think about, okay? The other thing is, Citrix said they were doing away with the web interface. Okay, web interface 5.4. They said we're doing away with it. Well, now it's back. So XenApp 7 Desktop didn't support the web interface. Well, now the web interface is back. Okay, so there's not a clear, how can I put it? There's not a clear direction that I'm seeing out of Citrix. They're a little wishy-washy, and I think that's a problem, particularly concerning the announcement we're going to make later in this program, which was announced just this week from VMware. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but we'll get there shortly. All right, let's go on to the next item. The next item is Ultio. Ultio, as you know, is the open source virtual desktop that I have reviewed right here on VirtZine before. As a matter of fact, the most watched, the most popular VirtZine edition that we've had was that particular demo of Ultio. We had something on the order, I think it's like 8,800 views on YouTube of that particular episode. Very popular episode. And the reason is I took you kind of soup to nuts, showing you how Ultio, as an open source project, was able to have a desktop presented from a Linux server and from a Windows server, and mix and match the applications within those two arenas through Ultio and through a web-based portal interface. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, now there's a new release, a new version of Ultio. It's called Ultio OVD, Open Virtual Desktop 4. Okay, this is big news. The open source cloud stack for application delivery Ultio just got better. And this is what they say in their press release. Ultio is proud to announce the availability of OVD version 4, the next major release that brings you broader compatibility, extended management, enhanced user experience, and better performance. Now, we had a viewer of VirtZine that got so excited about Ultio that they actually, over a period of time, got in touch with Ultio, got a new job with them, and is now a representative in North America for Ultio. Ultio is based out of Europe, and so he became their North American representative, one of several, I assume, representatives, and he basically keeps me up to date on what's going on with Ultio. He sends me emails and so forth, and I appreciate that. And we were one of the very first netcasts that actually did a demo of Ultio, and it's really coming on strong. Pretty neat that it's fully open source and free. Now, they have a paid version. For those of you that want to run a business on it, they have a supported version that they support at a corporate level, and you can contact them about that. But the open source version is pretty neat. There's some application availability through the paid-for version that isn't in the free version. For instance, the ability to publish individual applications as opposed to whole desktops. That's in the paid-for version, okay? So that's pretty neat. Now, let's get to our final announcement for this particular netcast, and that is VMware announcing Horizon View version 6. I got an email a couple weeks ago. Stay tuned for this big announcement. You're not going to want to miss this. This is important. And they sent me several other emails. And unfortunately, on Wednesday, the day that they made this announcement, I was tied up with some other responsibilities, and I couldn't sit in on the announcement. But I watched it later, and it was a big announcement. And it hit Citrix right between the eyes, I am sure. Let me just read from my article in VirtZine. This week, VMware announced VMware Horizon View 6. I noticed that all their presenters are simply shortening it down to Horizon 6. I find that very interesting. are they getting away from the use of the term view? I guess time will tell, and it will. Essentially, the big news is that VMware is taking a stab at the market that currently Citrix has locked up, and that is individual published applications, particularly via the web-based portal type interface. Now, I just mentioned that the Ultio paid version has that capability, that feature. Well, here's VMware offering as part of their Horizon 6 upgrade. If you're familiar with the VMware Horizon View HTML5 portal, which is called Blast, that Blast interface, then you'll know kind of what we're in store for here with this particular version. It's built on top of that technology, and it will allow icons to appear in the web interface that you can click on, and then you can get the applications through that particular web portal. And here's the part that I think is going to be a real big game changer, and that is you can publish your XenApp published applications through that same portal. Now you might say, well, Dr. Bill, what good is that? Because, you know, if VMware can do the published applications, why would you care that you could do XenApp applications? Well, let me tell you. I'm a VMware engineer at High Point Regional, but I'm also the Citrix administrator at High Point Regional. And I've got I think it's like 65 some applications running through Citrix. Now, if we want to have a single pane of glass, so to speak, as they call it in the industry, a single portal that has all those applications on the screen, we could do that with VMware's Horizon 6, and then as these applications get upgraded, we can move them to VMware. VMware Horizon 6 starts a Verizon. VMware Horizon 6. Let's not get anybody confused on that point, all right? But here's the thing. That becomes a key to people who might want to move away from Citrix. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating that you move away from Citrix. I'm just saying if that was your intent, this move on VMware's part makes it easier for you to do that. Do you see why I say I think it's a smart move? It allows you to have that single pane of glass for your users, okay? And that's something that's being discussed in a lot of companies right now. All right, so this is pretty neat, and I think it's going to be an important thing. They just kind of casually mentioned that in the announcement, but I think it's going to be one of the biggest parts of the announcement before too long. Now, VMware's goal is to have desktop and application virtualization using a single platform, that of Horizon, as they now call it. They also want to centralize management for physical, virtual, and BYOD, bring your own devices in the data center. Now, on the VirtZine blog here, I have several videos that I encourage you, particularly if you are a VMware support person, or you are a Citrix support person, you need to watch these videos if you missed the announcement. Pat Gelsinger, who is the CEO of VMware, is in one video talking about the vision of this. Then there's a video here that is really designed for VMware resellers on how they can spread the word to their customers about how Horizon 6 is going to work. And I thought that had some good information in it as well, as far as the nuts and bolts of how it works. And then they have a VMware Horizon technical person from VMware give a technical overview. And that's another video that we have here. They're all from YouTube, and they're all linked here into the VirtZine blog. So if you want to go to VirtZine.com, you can watch all those videos right there, and I encourage you to do that. So, like I said, big news here on VirtZine concerning all of these things. And it's interesting to me how they're all similar. VMware's coming out with 7.5, Ultio with 4.0, VMware with Horizon 6, and they're all oriented toward this particular area of application virtualization and presentation. Really important area, something that all the companies that I know that are dealing with these things are looking at right now. So it's no wonder it's such a hot topic. Okay? So, remember, until next time, keep your head in the cloud.